what's the question for today?
Sandy had mentioned one. Was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? And I said, write it down, ask it.
It was the Sunday before. I wrote it after, so I hope I captured the essence of the question. We were talking about that we can't see the soul or the energy on the earth plane, but can they, in spirit,
Okay, I remember
who are
now.
free from the finite, can they see it?
You're talking about energy.
The soul,
Energy and action
the spirit, yeah, right.
is what you're referring to. If I recall that, because I just edited that, because I'm changing the way I post things on YouTube. I just edited that, and I recall that was, we talked about energy
Mm-hmm.
and how we see energy in its two states. We see it as potential energy, and then we see it when it is expelled, but we never see the energy itself.
Okay.
So is that the question?
Yeah.
And
That-
they see the energy itself.
Yes, yeah. Can they see that soul energy from their side of,
Well,
You know.
soul energy is altogether something different.
well, I'm not, that's why I was not exactly sure what I wrote it, we can't see the soul, but then I put energy on the earth plane, but can they see it in spirit? So
Okay.
that's pretty much who are free
The
from,
soul has substance. If you can see something,
Yeah.
it has substance.
okay.
See, that's the thing to keep in mind. The soul has substance. A lot of times we think of the soul as being this imaginary thing that we can't see, that moves through walls and everything. And if you can see it, it has substance. You see mist. Can you grab a hold of mist? Can you grab a handful of mist? No.
Mhm.
So that's what, like the soul. The soul is like mist. In fact, in the Mesopotamian language, in their myths and such, the soul is described as a will-o'-the-wisp, or fog, or dust blowing in the air. You can see it, but you can't grab it. But it still has substance. So, okay. Give me a moment and remember your teachings of the past. The soul wraps itself in the material form. The soul wraps itself in the body. Nature extends into what you call the spirit realm, meaning that the same principles that apply in this realm also apply in the soul realm or the spirit realm. In these communications, we are bound by the limitations of your physical form, your corporeal form. We are bound by its limitations. Or you might say that we are bound by the laws of the body. And as souls, we have our own laws of the body. They are different than the corporeal body. It is, in a sense, comparing your human form with that of a dog or a chicken or a worm or a fish. They do not share all of the same laws that they are bound by. You do not see a fish walking upon the land. You may see a person swimming in the water, but they must always come up for air. Whereas the whale comes up for air, breathes deeply, and is able to submerge for days at a time. Do you have that quality? No, you do not. So each substance, each form has its own laws. You talk about energy. Energy is like gravity. No, you do not see it. We do not see it either. However, in the teachings, the old ancient teachings, and there are some who are able to remember those teachings. There are some who bring them forward in meditation. Do your thoughts run one after the other as you are attempting to quiet your mind? Yes. And eventually those thoughts slow down. But is it the passage of the thoughts that slows down, or the thoughts themselves that slow down? When I walked this plane, they did not have these carriages strung together and pulled along or pushed along. We had caravans, which you would call, and we tied ropes between the beasts. Now each beast represents a thought. And as the passage of your thoughts begins to slow, you may notice a gap between each of those thoughts. Has any of you achieved that? It's difficult. It is very difficult to achieve that. But in between those gaps, if you should get the opportunity to peer into those gaps, you will find something very different. I believe you use the word dimension. You will find a different dimension, a different realm in between those thoughts. That is where energy dwells. In between its potentiality and its release. It exists in between those. You can only see energy as it is potential, as it is
I do not know the term. Solid. Of course, not all energy is solid, but in this example, you can only see energy as a solid, and then you see it as it is released. Black powder, once you add the other mixed herbs to it. Pepper, I believe. But you see the powder, and then you see the flame. In between that powder and that flame is a space. And in that space is energy. That's where energy dwells. And energy is able to reach out and to take in and to push out almost simultaneously. What must occur in nature? What must occur in life for you to move? What is nature? Nature is the process of movement. Nature is the process of progression. Nature is the process of evolution. For movement, for change to occur in nature, what must happen? There must be growth and there must be decay. In order for you to make your passage into the next realm, you must grow and then you must decay. And when you decay, you go into the passage. Energy is the same way. For energy to exist, it must grow and decay. When it grows, it moves very slowly. It is the black powder forming in the earth. It is the pepper growing. It is a process. Remember, everything is a process. Nothing is of itself. It is the result of a process, and its demise is the result of a process. What happens when you breathe? Come now.
You take air in, then you expel it.
What happens between when you take air in and when you expel that air?
There's a pause.
What happens during that pause? The oxygen goes through your body when you take it in. And then the oxygen goes through the body when you release it. But what happens during that pause? No one knows what happens during that pause because they are focused on the preparation to exhale. That pause is energy. You do not think of that pause. For you, it is non-existent. For everyone, it is non-existent. You breathe in, and during that pause, you are focused on something else. Because how can one focus the mind upon nothing? That is why you do not see energy. Because it is not there. Energy only exists in two forms. Solid form, and when it is released, when it is gathered, when it is released, and in between, it is nothing. Now, as to whether we can see it, can you draw a conclusion from what has been presented?
That you only see the result of it, not the actual energy itself, but the result of it.
Very good. Now, there is one aspect of energy, and when you are immersed in that action, when you are immersed in it, then you can experience energy. When you run, where is your mind?
I'm moving, I'm running.
On running. What does running feel like?
Feels good. I mean, it's a release of just the breathing and the repetition and all of it just contributes to a good feeling for me.
And when both feet are off the ground, when they are not touching, are you able to sense that?
I probably not so much for me. I haven't been doing it. Well,
It has nothing to do with whether you have been doing it
okay.
yesterday, this week,
Mhm.
but you run. You do not experience the sensation of both feet being off the ground because you're too busy focusing on running, which is lifting one foot up and slamming the other one down. That is running.
Sure. Sure.
You don't think about what happens in between, but you feel exhilarated.
Mhm.
You can experience the energy, but you cannot describe it because there are no words to describe it. Energy cannot be seen, but it can be experienced. We cannot see it, but we can experience it. The passage, both to and from, we can experience the energy, but there are no words to describe it. There are things that you cannot describe. There are things that you can only experience. And each of you has had that experience. There are no words to describe it. The only way you can describe it is before and after. What's in between, you cannot describe. You cannot describe an experience. Because what is an experience? An experience has sensations. How do you describe a sensation? What is drinking water like?
Refreshing.
Satisfying.
I'm probably your most thirsty person. Very refreshing.
Mhm.
And yet, there are no words to describe the actual drinking itself. You have to compare it with something. And in order to describe it to someone else, you have to use words, comparisons that they are familiar with. Fire is hot. What is hot? Hot is putting your hand on a kettle right after the water boils.
And you get the pain of the hurt of touching that.
Exactly. The pain is the energy. And what are the results of that energy? Blisters.
Wound.
A wound. What was that energy beforehand? Was a kettle. You see energy before and after, but you experience energy in between. How can you describe the pain you receive when you put your hand on that hot kettle? You cannot. You only know that it hurts. Your physician says, where does it hurt? Does it hurt here? And he pokes you.
It does too. You got a toothache, helpful.
See, I am not without humor.
We see that. That's good.
He pokes you. Either you feel the pain, you experience the pain, or you do not. And if you do not experience the pain, he pokes you someplace else until he finds the pain. Pain. How bad does it hurt? Very bad. What is very bad? Very bad.
Very bad.
The only way you can describe it is to compare it to something else. Does it hurt like when the hammer strikes your finger? No. Does it hurt when the sword pierces you? No. Does it hurt when the needle pierces your skin? Yes. Tell me what happened. What did I just do?
Express the different hurts
In what way did I express them?
by the word.
Comparing them to.
Comparing them, yes. That is the only way to describe energy. You experience it. And when you share the experience, you can only compare it to something else. And how accurate is that comparison? not very accurate. It comes close, and that is all. You must learn to think differently. You think with your eyes and your ears. You must learn to think differently. You must learn to think through your experience. It's not what you see. It is how you experience it. You are a clairvoyant. Yes. Speak up.
Yes. Sometimes.
Either you are or you are not.
Okie dokie then.
The sometimes is when you choose to do it.
Correct.
What is your clairvoyance like?
Wow. No words to describe it.
Do you see it?
Sometimes yes.
Do you experience it?
Yes.
Yes. How do you hear it?
Yes.
Yes, or sometimes.
Well, sometimes I smell it.
Sometimes you smell it,
Sometimes I just hear it.
but every time you do what? What?
Experience it.
Experience it. Yes, that is how you must learn to think. Experience. This, your eyes and your ears are merely tools. They are no different than the hammer and chisel. They are tools. Can you experience a house? No, you cannot. The only way to experience a house is to build it. The carpenter experiences the house, but all he can do is show you his work. Cannot share with you the experience, but they could share with you the work. They can show you from whence it began and when it has ended. That is it. Think differently. Experience. Experience is what teaches you. And you must do what in order to experience?
Think different.
You must do what in order to experience?
Must do.
Yes, you must do. Exactly. Tell me about these flowers.
Pretty.
They're pretty. What else?
The colors are vibrant.
The colors are vibrant.
They look alive.
They look alive. How are you experiencing them? Describe the color. Vibrant. What does it mean to be vibrant?
Energetic.
Energetic. Do you experience that, or are you just saying that?
No, I think they make you feel good.
Yes. Very good. You must feel. And how is it that you feel?
Uplifted.
Yes. How do you experience a skirmish?
Fearfully.
You must be in the skirmish. You can watch a skirmish all you want. You can watch people fighting. And what does it teach you? Not to do that.
Yes.
However, because you have not experienced the fight, you really do not know why you should. But then the question becomes, do I really want to experience that? No. So you don't do it. Experience. Experience is what transforms you, each of you. If you don't know, then you had better discover, because discovery is the only way to know. And the only way to discover is to investigate. And the only way to investigate is to ask questions. Are there any questions? Was your question answered sufficiently?
Yes. Yes, very much. Thank you.
It is. You're welcome. It is good to have questions because that tells us, any of us that comes through any vehicle, that you are ready. That is the purpose of a question. You are ready for a response. You are ready for an answer. And now I would bid you farewell.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I gotta come in and say hello to all of you. Get a chance to speak. We don't know everything. We just want you to think we know everything. And since you think that, we're not going to say anything about it. And I honestly could not answer that question because, well, I don't understand the question. But he was right. I cannot stay here either. But I had to say hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Okay. I think we're going to have a little bit of music. So you can stretch, get a refill, use the restroom.